Say this is fucking driving me mental. This modern day gaming industry is going down the toilet. Say the difference. But I've been a gamer most of my life. I have. Well, my first console was an Atari. The Atari belonged to my brother, but when he stopped playing it, it pretty much got handed down to me. My first, my first console of my very own was a Spectrum. Then I went on to Ugh. Then went on to the original NES and the SNES. My brother had the bloody Mega Drive, and we'd swap them in. We'd swap consoles. So in all these years, watching the quality of games go down the toilet, and hearing people making excuses for it drives me mental. The number of people on forums that I see making excuses for developers' sheer laziness and stupidity that is unreal. I will give them a chance. How can you defend these people? You do realise that you're basically consenting to them breaking a console, yeah? They, you do realise that by making excuses for their sheer laziness, that you have basically granted them permission to abuse your console and break your console. You do realise that when you get a stone or a stick or something, kicks up off the floor and gets stuck in the chain of your bike, your chain in your fucking bike stops working. If this continuously repeats, it eventually snaps the chain. It'll go from locking up the chain on your bike to eventually snapping it because, well, it's been weighed down and degraded by, well, so much interference with the mechanism that it's snapped. You do realise that broken data, like game crashes, screen freezes, poor quality graphics glitches, all these things affect the performance of your console just like the chain of your bike, yeah? And that's why you have to defrag your PC, well, at least once a week if you use it daily, to repair damaged and degraded data, or it'll affect the performance of your PC. The more a game makes your console crash, the more it degrades the hardware in your console. You are aware of that, yeah? That's why companies like Blizzard, when they release, or like when the big bloody Blizzard released the Diablo 4 beta, warned people ahead of time saying that taking part in this might damage your console because the game's not finished. You do realise developers releasing half-finished games, well, can damage your console, yeah? Especially if they're prone to crashing and freezing. So why are you making excuses for them? It's not like they're gonna go out and replace your console if it happens to break due to their negligence. If this would never have happened in the 90's, This would never have happened in the 90s. The modern day gaming industry's attitude makes me sick. Because in the height of gaming, 90s were quite literally the height of gaming. Back then, you'd have never have caught a developer being as lazy as the modern day gaming industry. It may look pretty, but that's about the only thing it's got going in its favour for the most part. Quality and standards have gone down the toilet. And that's even included in the way console developers develop their, well, business. Like PlayStation, for example. I'm so disgusted with PlayStation. So disgusted with PlayStation. When PlayStation came on the scene back in, what, early 90s, they were a completely different company than they are today. A completely different company. They had, they, well, they, the standards for PlayStation have gone, well, down the toilet. My original PlayStation lasted me longer than every single modern console that I've had since. Every single one. Before it finally broke, I'd had it for over 10 years. Over 10 years. And this is playing it daily. This is playing it daily for a minimum of 12 hours a day. And it never broke. Versus my PlayStation 2, I replaced twice. Replaced my PlayStation 2 twice. I replaced my 360 twice. Twice. I replaced my Xbox One. I replaced my Xbox One with an Xbox Series X, but I'm on the verge of having to replace my Series X as well. And this is in a shorter time period. Even my 360 lasted me bloody longer than my Series than my Series X and my Xbox One. But even then, I ended up having to replace that a couple of fucking times due to the Red Ring of Death. So yeah, the problem is because they're expecting a console. The problem that's caused most my modern fucking day consoles to break is the fact that they keep expecting a console to act like a PC. It's not a PC. It's a console. It's a gaming console. That is what it's called. That is what it's for playing games. It's not supposed to be a miniature PC. A PC can be upgraded. You can, you can upgrade your graphics card or your motherboard or any component in your PC to bring it into the modern world. You can't do that with a console. You could defrag. your PC on a daily basis if you bloody want to keep all the data on your PC up to scratch. You can't do that with a console. And damaged data affects the performance of your computer. You're gonna have to you just uninstall it and reinstall it. That's not the point. That's not the fucking point. You do realise that damaged data, and this includes broken games, this is what really annoys me about people's attitude towards the modern day gaming, because you think that it's just as simple as uninstalling and reinstalling the game, and Bob's your uncle. No. Crashing affects the performance of a console. If a game is released half finished and prone to crashing, the developers aren't going to replace your console, let's say, when it finally breaks due to constant performance errors. Game crashing will... what it does is exactly the same as I said with the chain in your bike. That sudden crash, what it does is the same as interfering with the chain on your bike. Stick something in there, it'll lock it in place, it'll try to bloody move, it won't be able to, and that'll put strain on your chain. Put strain on the chain to the point where it eventually snaps. And that's what it does to your hardware. What the game crashing does to your hardware. It's like sticking a stone in your chain and making it suddenly stop working. Putting a gear in the bloody... Putting something in the cogs of your gears. That sudden interference will wear down your hardware. And break your hardware. But you don't think of this. And you make excuses for the developers, saying that, oh, well, give them a chance. Let them finish the game first. It should have been finished on day of fucking release. You know, that's what they hire game testers for. To test to make sure it works with pre-release. Oh, but what if they can't hire game testers? Then they should be testing it themselves. Should be giving themselves more time to develop the game properly and test the game themselves. You know, even in companies like Blizzard warn you when they release a beta for one of their games, saying that this can damage the performance of your console. You participate in this beta of your own free will. We are not responsible for any damage caused to your console as a result of taking part in this. If a game is not finished and doesn't work properly, it should never leave that stage. You would have never have caught any developer in console gaming backing the fucking day. Not a single one would stoop to the fucking lows of releasing a half-finished game. And PlayStation, well, I will never forgive you for stooping to the lowest of the low. You do realise that it's like... one of the things that drives me absolutely mental, because I remember what PlayStation were like when they first entered the gaming industry. I loved them. They were amazing. And their attitude was absolutely incredible, but that didn't last long. What they did, they had a system in place originally, see. They had a system in place where, depending on the developer, because developers piss me off. Developers piss me off, especially the likes of, I mean, I understand people getting pissed shitty at companies like Activision, Ubisoft, EA, and yeah, you got a right to be fucking upset with them, but we've got 100 times more right to be upset with them than you do. Because our generation, we made them. A lot of these companies, like Activision, has been around since the days of the Atari. The attitude over the years has become so, well, static. We, well, we made them. We made them rich. Our generation made them fucking rich. EA, especially. I highly doubt most of you youngsters even know that EA was originally called Electronic Arts. And they mostly, back in the days of the 90s, each of these companies, like Ubisoft, Activision, EA, Squaresoft, they'd all have their specialist games. I mean, EA still, for the most part, still specializes mostly in the sports games like FIFA. But they keep dipping their fingers into far too many pies these days. Especially when it comes to the RPG sector, which was never their genre. It's like what triggered my original rant about the modern day gaming industry versus the 90s was I was having a nostalgia day about Silent Hill. I was sat here, I was sat here watching. Where is it? There it is. This. Why they started the video like that, I don't know, but that was one of the FMVs on Silent Hill. This is the original opening. Now, Konami left the gaming industry for a while. But I was feeling nostalgic and I was watching a load of different Silent Hill, load of different Silent Hill related videos, and I was reading the comments on on this video because I watched a couple of the opening videos. The original one I watched was you know, that moment is like you get the song stuck in your head and you can't actually get it out of your head until you actually listen to it. I got the Silent Hill theme in my head, and I was like, I have to listen to it now. I have to watch the opening. So I looked it up on bloody YouTube, found one version that was labeled Silent Hill original opening, and I clicked it, and it was like, I'm like, this is an original opening cutscene because they'd extended it. They'd added parts in it that weren't actually in the original, which involved gameplay, and there was no gameplay related content in the original opening. So I'm like, like me being me when I'm on YouTube, I can't resist the urge to point out to people when they're full of shit. So I was like that. Oh, by the way, this isn't the original opening because there's no gameplay in the original opening, so you haven't actually labeled this correctly. But I was there they're reading some of the comments, and this one person commented about how amazing how amazing the original Silent Hill was and how realistic it looked. And then you had this one person criticizing, no, you call that look realistic? It's like, you do realize that was a 32-bit console, yeah? A 32-bit console. You're there criticizing because it's not modern day console standards. You do realize that up until the original PlayStation was released, up until this point, that we were dealing with that our generation had been dealing with pixel 2D pixel bloody no 2D pixel characters with a screen scroll like Mario. To us, this was I could actually see them smiling, and that ignorance of the gaming industry really drives me mental. And there's been so many times that I've heard people going on a mission about stuff like this. It's like one of the things. It's like I wish I had my PC working because I'd give you an example layered over this, but my PC apparently doesn't want to work for me. It's like one of the things drives me mental about Final Fantasy, especially. It's Final Fantasy X. Final Fantasy X's remaster. It's like I hear so many people try to pretend like how amazing this fucking game is, and I want to punch them. I want to fucking punch them for their ignorance and stupidity. I really do. It's How could you fucking say this shit is realistic when let's see if I can find the bloody thing now. Now this is the remaster. This is the remaster.
Story. Shots.
Don't even get me started. Not that it really fucking matters because I'm gonna get started anyway, but say now people go on a mission of, well, what's wrong with that? I think it's really good. Then you're not a Final Fantasy fan. It's, I've got to find the original now because YouTube is not YouTube anymore. Is this the one? No, soon enough then. Bloody this whole lot. Yeah, it is. I think. That is the one. Now, this is the PS2 version. Now, people will. I've had many people go on a mission when it comes to fucking me in this game. Say, without a fucking working PC, I can't show you properly, or I just record my original PS2 version. The difference that most people don't take on board because they're so busy, trying to do low level bloody playthroughs of the bloody game that they don't even notice the little differences between the original and the remaster. And it drives me mental. Absolutely fucking mental. Because it's how the fuck can you call yourself a Final Fantasy fan and not notice this shit? It, on the original, on the original PS2 release of Final Fantasy, there was a lot more emotion in that opening than there is on the remaster. And the remaster, especially the PS bloody, say PS3 and PS3 version. PS4 is a little bit better, but even then, it's not. It's not. Because the way it was done on the PlayStation 2 versus the remasters was so heartbreakingly amazing that, well, when we first played the game, we were heartbroken. Quite literally heartbroken. Now, you're talking about a fan base that had, until 10, played a load of games where we got to save the fucking world. A load of games where we got to save the world, with the exception of 7, which had Ares fucking die. Spoiler, spoiler, sorry about that. But we got to save the world and get the fucking girl. The love fucking stories were absolutely incredible, and then we got 10. 10. And it fucking opens with this video of everybody looking so fucking depressed that well, if we weren't mentally stable at the time, we'd be fucking sinking into fucking despair. And no, it was done in so incredibly well. The editing, all done so incredibly well, and the graphics were insanely amazing. The graphics on the original to this day are still better than the remaster. Now people can fucking say, how the hell is that possible? Because it is, trust me. Say, you think of it and this is part of the problem that I see with the degradation of the gaming industry. You see it as because it's SCAT socket technology, and it seems pixelated on a modern day TV. The graphics are shit. Not that's not the way that it is at all. Because if you'd ever played the original release of Final Fantasy X before playing the remaster, you'd understand. Because when the original game was released, that original opening, if you put the two side by side, you'd be able to see what I mean. Yuna's face in that FMV, which is the girl, on the original, she looked like she was about to burst into tears. And yet on the remaster, that's not there. It's just a smoothed over version of it where they've tried to make them fucking look more like modern day gaming standards, but they've completely missed all the emotion that was in the original. So even though it's smoother, more detailed in regards to the the programming. It's not as pixelated as the original, but that's the only reason the original's pixelated on your TV is because it wasn't made for that type of TV. It's not because there's any issues with the program itself, because if you were playing it on an old style TV, it would look perfectly fine. Say, but they've made that upgrade while completely missing every single bit of emotion that was in the original. As I said, this that I wish I could put this bloody side by side. That bit with you now. Where is it? Let's see if I can get it up close and fucking personal a bit. Now this bit fucking about to kick in now where it focuses on you now. That bit on the original, her eyes were all bloodshot, like she was about to burst into tears. The detail on the emotion of that on the original versus the remaster. Now this is a HD remaster, so this isn't even the original. This isn't even the original, but it's closer to what the original looked like. This one is it's a HD version of the original. I can't find the actual original on YouTube. It's just not popping up. It's all fucking HD remasters. I think that one is the PS4 fucking remaster. Although it might not even be, it might actually just be a HD version of the original opening because this all it says is on this one is Final Fantasy X opening HD. I can't find the original opening. It's just not fucking popping up for some reason. S2. Yeah, there we go. That's the one. This is how it all started on the original. What the difference in the quality of of the opening video versus later ones. The entire FMV was created in time with the music. Which wasn't so shiny. If you're a lover of the Final Fantasy soundtrack like I am, you'll completely understand the next point that I'm about to make when it comes to this. Now, that original opening versus the HD remaster, I highly, I highly recommend you. I highly recommend you trying the original game, especially if you're a fan of Final Fantasy, because you don't know what you're missing when it comes to the original versus the remaster. And if you're able to get an emulator, a PS2 emulator, or a PS2 with a copy of Final Fantasy X, I highly recommend it. Because one of the differences, and it broke my heart when I realized it, because one of the differences between the two versions is the way it was set up on the original. What the director, Hironobu Sakaguchi, had done was time the music perfectly to fit with what was going on in the video. Whereas on the remaster, it's just dumped over the top of it. They didn't even bother going to that degree of detail with the remaster. It was just, boom, here's the video, put the music on top of it. No. What Hironobu Sakaguchi did on the original was you'd have a few opening credits like you just saw leading up to the video kicking in, and then the video would kick in after at a certain point in the music so that it could time what was going on in the video with the music, the emotions in the music, and it added so much more emotional depth despite the difference in the quality of the console that they were being released on. Obviously, in the original, it was released for the PS2. The remaster released for the PS3 and PS4. But that one little attention to detail when it came to the directing made 10 times more impact on an emotional level than anything the remaster does. And there's also parts in the game where they may have smoothed over the graphics and all that malarkey. But like there's one spot in on the Mushroom Rock Road when Walker's getting all fucking pissed off at Luzu and he punches him. And this in the original, Walker was the scene was so much more emotional than in the original because Walker's eyes were all filled up with tears and you could see the rage in his eyes. But on the remaster, that's all gone. All for smooth over graphics. You know, but it drives me mental that people call themselves Final Fantasy fans, but they don't know this shit. It's like one of the things that I've done because the things that I've done many times throughout my gaming life. If I like a game, I'll go out and fucking buy the original. It's like I've got two copies of Final Fantasy fucking 7. I got the picture disc version. I've got the platinum version. Say that's what I'm like when I'm a fan of a fucking game. I will want to know everything, absolutely fucking everything. And it drives me mental that so few people notice these little things, especially when it comes to people like myself that played the original. It's how can you call yourself a fan and not actually notice these changes? How can you defend a company for putting that has been that have made a name for itself for its attention to detail and being so well so in depth and emotional that it made you want to punch your TV, bawl your heart out, spend 2 hours crying over the ending of the fucking game, smiling like a school fucking kid, fucking whenever the bloody hero and heroine got together. And then you want to fucking defend the degrading quality of their fucking games by saying, oh, the graphics look amazing. Fuck the graphics. What's the point of having good graphics if you don't fucking have the emotional impact to go with it? This is, it's an RPG it's at the end of the day. It's supposed to be it's supposed to be an interactive book. You don't read a fucking book that doesn't impact you on an emotional level. If it doesn't spark your imagination and get you feeling like the world you're reading is real, then it's not worth your fucking time. And all an RPG is an interactive book. And it drives me mental. I mean, a PlayStation. Back to my point about PlayStation before I got distracted on my love for Final Fantasy. PlayStation, what they used to do back in the day, see, and this drives me mental that people would make excuses for PlayStation, because PlayStation is not the company it used to be. What they did with the original PlayStation back in the day was, depending on the company, they would have standards. So the more well-known the company, the higher the standards. So every single game released by a developer had a goal to sell X amount of copies, blah blah blah. Now what PlayStation would fucking do on the original PlayStation 1 was whatever that goal was for however X amount of copies sold. What would happen is that they would produce companies releasing games on PlayStation would produce that X amount of games. They'd produce that X amount of games, and that was it. Once they were sold, the game would go platinum. So, when those original X amount for the targeted fucking goal for sales was hit, the game would be half price for the fucking rest of the time it was on the market. Then, for you to tell the difference, what would happen is once a game had reached its goal, it would then go platinum. And what the difference was is this was the original release of Final Fantasy VII for the PlayStation. White PlayStation bloody sign on black background, absolute fucking brilliant. Then you had the picture disc. And they would only print the sales goal amount of these. Once they hit the goal and sold all of these copies, the game would go platinum for the rest of the time it was on the market. And when it went platinum, it went like this. And the discs would look like that. Now what would happen then is you'd be paying for a copy like this, you'd be paying £30 to £40, depending on the success of the publisher. So in this case, Squaresoft, because they were one of They were one of the fucking best RPG creators on the market, so standards were high for them. So yeah, the more renowned the company producing the game, the higher the sales goal. So you'll be paying like between £30 to £40 for a copy, a picture disc copy of a PlayStation 1 game. The moment all these copies were sold, they'd reduce the price of the fucking game to, well, half price for the most part, because on average the games back in those days were somewhere between £30 to £40. So it'd usually be roughly around half price. The game would stay at £20. No, no store that sold games was ever allowed to charge more than £20 for a platinum version. It would stay, and unlike now, where you'll get sales on games on the bloody marketplace once in a while. No, that was it. If a game managed to reach its targeted sales figure, it was half price for the rest of the time it was on the market. I mean, in all fairness to Xbox, with the Game Pass stuff, it's like, well, if a game is on Game Pass, you can get it half price. So that's something. But back in the days of the PlayStation, like I said, if it hit platinum, it was on sale for the fucking rest of the fucking time it existed. And that system worked because PlayStation became successful, one of the most successful companies, and the standards, fucking hell, how people can make excuses for all the game crashing bullshit, fucking of the modern day gaming industry. You don't know what the standards were like back in those days. You don't know. You don't know. You'd never have to deal with game fucking crashes. Say, well, with the exception of one company, I can only think of one company that ever released a faulty game during this time period, and it was Perfect World. It was the only company I had ever fucking experienced a game that crashed on the original PlayStation. Say now on the old Nintendo and Super Nintendo, the worst you'd have to fucking deal with was the console itself breaking, overheat. The the adapter overheating was renowned. You couldn't. It's say for us hardcore gamers that couldn't leave our consoles alone, which was quite often when it came to the bloody old Mario games because you couldn't actually save your game. So we're there trying to complete the fucking game, be on it for hours, and the adapter would end up overheating. But the games themselves worked perfectly fine. You would never, ever, you'd never, ever, ever be playing a fucking game on the old consoles that didn't work properly. Say, and to see the gaming industry go down the toilet so badly that half of the games released today get released unfinished, full of bugs, and people just accept it. It's like if my PC was working right now, I'd be I'd be giving you I'd be giving you a proper fucking example when it came to the difference between now and then. Because then was a completely different era. Developers cared. PlayStation cared. You would never catch a developer making a half-assed effort at a game of, oh, just release it, we'll fix it later. Like I said, with Final Fantasy fucking 10, the attention to detail, the editing, the directorship, timing, the music with the emotions in the video, and no, the standards have just gone down the fucking toilet. It's like I'm there playing so many different games on my console. Like one of the games I've been loving playing recently is Kingdom Come Deliverance, and it breaks my heart because I'm there looking at this game, and I'm thinking, if you could be bothered, if you could be bothered to make this work fucking properly, this game would be so fucking amazing. But instead, it's full of bugs. You would have never have caught if this was made by a company fucking back in the fucking 90's. There would be no bugs. No. And every single company back then, they all had their specialties. They all had their specialties. All of them. Every single fucking one of them had their specialties. It's like Konami was renowned as a dark fantasy developer. Silent Hill, Vandal Hearts, Metal Gear Solid. You know, you got Electronic Arts, aka EA. They tend to open their games when they were making a football game, especially EA Sports. It's in the game. Or if they were releasing something, another game, a different game genre, it'd be Electronic Arts. The enthusiasm has just gone from the gaming industry. It's not what it once was. It's not what it once was at all. You would never have caught any of the developers back then making a half-assed effort. Everything had to be everything had to be perfect. Everything. And the pride they took in announcing that they'd done an amazing job. You'd get an opening. Like I said with EA, they'd open their games when you turn the fucking game, they fucking turn on the game. So if you were just playing a normal game type, you'd have Electronic Arts, and it'd literally say that Electronic Arts with so much fucking enthusiasm when they bloody turned on the game, announcing we made this game. Say buy one of their FIFA games, and you got get them announcing EA Sports in the game. And then the bloody opening for the FIFA flipping title would kick in when you see all the football players bloody kicking the ball a bloody round with some kick ass fucking music bloody going on. And it's like it's not the same. It's not the fucking same. You know, that opening intro has become a standard thing where it's just, oh yeah, this is EA. Let's say we'll put it there because it's with we made this game. Oh, let's get gaming. Like what the fuck, like. say the enthusiasm is dead. The enthusiasm for gaming is dead. The quality and standards are dead. All that matters now is that you release a fucking game, release a bloody game, and that's it. I mean, this right here now, this was the enthusiasm of the fucking 90s when it came to gaming. Right here. Now this is Super Mario Land by the Ambassadors of Funk. This was released during the age of the Super Nintendo, when Nintendo released Mario Land. Super Mario, girls, strange, hot, strange, washing, grace. And what makes this song so absolutely fucking incredible is the fact that it is so true. This is 90s gaming right here. Late 80s, early 90s gaming. This is the way that it fucking was. Even my Marsh thinks I'm crazy, but I gotta rescue Daisy. And be there because we didn't have a save system at that bloody point in time. There was no way of saving our games, so we had to leave our fucking consoles turned on while we went down to eat our dinner. Our parents had so much power in those days. There ain't no place like Super Mario Land. Oh, why do my fucking bloody Super Mario Land? And when Super Mario Land was released, all of us Mario fans were over the moon because the Super Mario Land was the first ever Mario where you could actually save the game. You still have to complete the level before you were able to save your progress, but check this out. Like, that's why I saw a planet, see killer song, so fucking true. Like I said, our parents had so much power in those days because we couldn't save our games. We'd have to leave our consoles turned on while we went down to get our dinner. And if we refused to fucking leave our console to go and get our fucking dinner, our parents would come up and fucking destroy all our progress and turn off the console. So we'd be there playing a bloody Mario fucking game. We'd get really far into the game and our parents would come up and turn off our fucking console and we'd have to start all over again. It's horrifying. It was, so the option to save your game with Super Mario Land was, oh my, but this song sums up 90 gaming. This is how it was. The enthusiasm, upbeat, fun, upbeat, fun, obsessive. Super Mario and my girls check to the other side of the castle and lose some strange fun. There's still lots of play. Why'd you spend so much time on your console? Mama, she thinks I'm crazy. Get out here, you dinner. Can you go outside? Mom, I gotta have this song. Will you buy me? Will you buy me a Master Fights? Let me Mario Land, please. Gotta have this game, Mom. Say you go outside like a normal kid. You know, say Jack Sparrow's fucking Jack Sparrow's fucking quote on Pirates of the Caribbean where he's there talking to Barbossa and Barbossa says the world is shrinking and he goes, the world's still the same, mate. There's just less in it. But that pretty much sums up the fucking gaming industry. It's it's still the fucking same. There's just less in it. Less enthusiasm. Everything is just the latest trend. There's nothing creative about it any fucking more. Nothing enthusiastic. Nothing passionate. Nothing. All the passion, the enthusiasm, it's all gone. No, we've gone from a fucking industry where developers were proud to announce EA Sports today. You know, yeah, I'd see if I can find fucking the Sega, Sega's broken my fucking hand. Let's see if I can find it. It's, I gotta turn this off because fucking I'm gonna fucking get all. Hang on, right. Wait. Let's see. Let's see if we can find fucking it. That's the fucking one right there. That was the 80s version of Sega. We just flash up the fucking name. That's what you get every single time you turn on one of their fucking games. Every single fucking time you get that intro when you turn on a Sonic fucking game versus the modern fucking day fucking version of where it's just Sega. Gonna fucking be an email with me. What the fuck, like? There you go. All startup fucking screens, Sega Genesis is what this bloody video is. The fuck, like, that's my Asterix. My God, fucking hell! Now that's a blast from the past right there. See, even the Sonic games themselves, they spend so much fucking time these days. They spend more time these days making sure it looks good than they do actually fucking anything else, and that drives me mental because part of the fun, part of the fun of every single game back then was in the attitude. The attitude was so upbeat. It was encouraged you to have fun. You know, the music, the attitude of the programmers, the characters, the introduction. Boom, this is amazing. I want you to fucking have as much fun fucking playing this game as we had making it. Like this, the original Sonic the Hedgehog. Like, people will go on, oh, but synthesizers and all that bloody bullshit. Fuck what was used to make the music. That's not what's important. What's important is the emotion of it. And you can hear it right there. Enthusiasm, fun, upbeat versus dark, depressing, emotionally soul destroying. Say the original Sonic the Hedgehog fucking soundtrack. This was developer. This pretty much sums up developers' attitudes back in the height of gaming. Fun. We loved this game. We put our hearts into this fucking game. We hope you enjoy it as much as we fucking enjoyed making it. This is what they were like. you know, everything was new. There was none of this copy fucking paste shit. Like Konami, for example. Perfect fucking example. Konami back in those days. Now, when they originally released Metal Gear Solid for the PlayStation, I know a lot of people probably don't realize this because I know a lot of people don't know much about 90s gaming unless you were there anyway. But Metal Gear Solid was one of the first ever games. It's like if it wasn't for Konami, we probably wouldn't have Mass Effect today. Like, this is distracting me. As much as I love it, it's fucking distracting me. But we probably wouldn't have Mass Effect today if it wasn't for Konami, because Konami was actually, and this is how fucking creative they were back in the 90s. Now, what Konami did when they released Metal Gear Solid, they created a boss on Metal Gear Solid called Psycho Mantis. Now, Psycho Mantis was a complete tosser. A complete tosser. As the name suggests, he was a psychic. So he could predict everything you were going to do. Absolutely everything. And he made more than a few people pull their fucking hair out with the fact that he was unbeatable. Unless you plugged your controller into the second controller port. If you plugged your controller into the second controller port, you could beat him. He'd be hovering around the fucking place going, I can't read you! But what he would do, leading up to the battle with him, is read your memory card. So like with Mass Effect, where if you played number one, all your choices and your save game data will be fucking transferred over to number two, and number two to number three. If it wasn't for Psycho Mantis on Metal Gear Solid, we wouldn't have that. Konami were one of the first fucking companies back in those days to do something like that. Psycho Mantis would read your memory card and fucking see. He'd be there, reading your fucking memory card, and he'd be going, your memory is completely clean. And what that would be fucking reference to is if you had any fucking previous fucking releases of Konami titles, so like, for example, Vandal Hearts, he'd read your save data, see if you had any Konami games on your fucking memory card. If you did, then he'd fucking list them fucking off to you and fucking boast and brag and call you a piece of shit for it. And then there was the case of he'd read your fucking save data for Metal Gear Solid and depending on how frequently or you saved is depending on what you saved. So if you were the type of fucking person that was so fucking cautious that you'd be saving every 5 minutes, he'd be there ridiculing you for being cautious. I can't remember the exact wording because it was very rare that I ever got him to save that because I got so confident with that game because I played it like there was no tomorrow. I was obsessed with that game for a very long time. So he'd fucking quite often say to me, you have not saved often. You are somewhat reckless. I think I only got cautious response once when I first played the game. No, sorry, twice. I got it twice. Because the second time I had actually deliberately gone on a saving spree just to get him to say it. And yeah, if it wasn't for companies like Konami, we probably wouldn't have Mass Effect today. They were one of the first. They were such an amazing company back in the day. I was devastated when they left the gaming industry and stopped producing games because even though they were a very dark company and tended to fucking be quite depressing, they were one of the companies that would offer alternate endings to their games, and you could guarantee that if it was a Konami game, it would have at least 4 endings. Silent Hill had 5. Yeah, the very good ending, the bad ending, the very bad ending, and the UFO ending. And the UFO ending was absolutely fucking hysterical, and you could only get it if you played it on the hardest difficulty and got the channeling stone from the convenience store. And then you'd have to use the channeling stone in 5 different locations around Silent Hill. Like, if I remember correctly, it is one on top of the school, one on top of the hospital, one in the resort area. I think one. Oh, where's the fucking? I always forget the fourth fucking one. The last one's on top of the lighthouse, and when you use it for the fucking in the last fucking location on top of the lighthouse, these aliens come fucking down and abduct Harry. It's absolute. It's done in a 1960s bloody Batman 1960s Batman style where you got this comic book atmosphere. We can say, "Take me to your leader. We come in peace." Harry's there like that, and the bloody aliens just zap him with their stun gun and take him on board their ship and fly off. Which was just absolutely hysterical in a game that was so bloody dark that they'd actually add that in there. You know, you got all these mutilated shit fucking running a bloody round. All this mutilated bloody stuff and scary ass monsters. You know, serious dark survival style. On the run for your fucking life, everything wants to kill you, and then you get abducted by aliens. It's just. Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. The creativity of the 90's is just there is no parallel for modern day gaming versus the 90's. The 90's was such a hmm, it was a completely different atmosphere. This was their attitude. Fun loving. There's not many developers left in the gaming industry that are like that. But it's more about the enjoyment than looking good. So many developers in modern day gaming and so many fans in modern day gaming are more obsessed with the graphics than they are with the game itself. As long as the graphics tool factor is fucking there, where they can fucking see detailed bloodshed and shit like that. That's most people's top priority. The little details and the fun is just Dead. You know, to turn around and say, I know people, I know some people will say, "Look, that's not true. It is true." Because if you played any of these games back in the 90s, you'd understand. The attitude is completely different. And it's all well and good saying, oh, the devs are just after your money. And yeah, that is true, they are. But half of that is fucking down to, oh, it's down to a few factors. One factor is fucking down to the time fucking period they expect to create their games in, which is 99.9% of the time is fucking unrealistic. The other problem is demand. Because people obsess so fucking much over these fucking games, they rush. They rush to get them fucking out there just so they can get a fucking paycheck because they know fucking people fucking want the latest fix of their favorite game series. So they capitalize fucking on the obsessive nature of fans. Milk it for all it's fucking worth instead of encouraging fucking people to have a little bit more patience. And that's both developers and fans themselves. The fucking gaming companies, fucking like EA and fucking Ubisoft, Activision, the big fucking names. It's like, well, we need to make some fucking money. So it's like, well, the fans are getting impatient. We don't fucking want them to lose interest and move on to the next fucking thing. Fucking if we don't release one right here, right now. I mean, in all fairness, part of the fucking reason the gaming industry is like that today is in large fucking part to the height of the fucking gaming in these days because it was fun, it was amazing, and we were all fucking addicted. We were all fucking addicted. It is as simple as that. But we had no choice but to fucking wait for the next bloody release of the bloody of our favorite game series in these days because developers took their time regardless of how badly addicted we were to them. Not that that mattered to us either, mind you, because to a degree that didn't really matter to us because we'd spend about 6 months playing playing the same game over and over again because we were so obsessed with it. So if they fucking took fucking a few years to release Sonic the Hedgehog fucking 2, we didn't care because we were still playing Sonic 1 anyway. It's like there was none of this. There was none of this. Leave it on a climactic moment so that we got you fucking waiting for the fucking next release of the game, making you get so fucking impatient that you're fucking demanding it get released right here, right now. It was, we released this fucking game, you fell in love with it, now we're trying to fucking create a follow-up. No, they didn't make games like they do today. They didn't make them with the intention of continuing the story. They made them as one-time releases that ended up becoming a game series. They didn't do cliffhangers. They didn't do fucking cliffhangers, and that worked in their favor because it made the fucking game so beloved and so fun to play. And it also fucking made the wait in between releases a lot more tolerable because we weren't itching to finish the fucking story because, oh, what happened after this? To be continued. Fuck off! See? it was a completely different attitude, a completely different attitude, and it got us all addicted. It got us all fucking addicted. We were so happy. We were so happy with we were so happy with our games that we had the patience to wait for number two. There was no cliffhangers, none of this. Yeah, none of this. We're gonna tease you with the to be continued factor. They didn't need to do that because the games were so fucking fun that they didn't need to entice us to buy the fucking sequel. It's, you know, Sonic fucking 1 was so simple, so frustrating. It's like, you know, it encouraged you to get good at the game because, uh, aside from the fucking threat of your fucking parents coming and turning off your bloody console, you couldn't save your game. You couldn't do any of this bloody shit that you could do today. So, and it was so basic and limited that it encouraged you to get good at the game. And it was so much fun to play that, yeah, the developers gave themselves plenty of time to release a sequel because we were still trying to fucking master the controls for the first one. It's like, make it through the whole fucking game, and each stage on the Sonic games, there'd be 8 levels, and each level had three level types. So it's like you'd have the like you'd have Emerald Hill Zone, and then Emerald Hill Zone would have 3 levels. So it'd be like fucking, you'd have fucking, and there'd be 8 fucking level fucking types fucking like this, and you'd have on the third fucking level of each one, you'd fight a boss. And if you didn't get it fucking perfect, you'd have to start again from the very fucking beginning. No save, no save data. There was none of this. Save before the boss. Just save before the boss, just in case. No, no, no. And you're restricted on the fucking lives that you could have as well. So you'd have to collect a hundred rings, 100 fucking rings to gain 1 life. Of course, if you got hit by a monster, all the rings that you were carrying would be dropped, and you'd only have a set amount of time to pick them all back up again before they disappear. So you had to get perfect at the game. You had to do it perfect, fuckingly, if you wanted to complete it. The things that a lot of fucking gamers do today with their low level fucking playthrough or perfect fucking playthrough shit. That was our day to day thing anyway. There wasn't, we choose to do this. It was, we had to do this. Yep. Because we had no save files. The attitude is just, uh, the, the attitude is not what it once was. The developers need to, I think the best bit of advice I can give developers today is buy an original Nintendo and remind yourselves why you got into the gaming industry to begin with. That's the best piece of advice I can give anyone. I'd even give that advice to the fans. If you're gonna start, If you're gonna encourage your kid to be a gamer, buy them a 90s console. I did that with my niece. I bought her a Super Nintendo and told her because she wanted to play games with her auntie. So it was like, well, if you wanna play games like your auntie, then you can start where your auntie started, and you can play these, and then you will have a lot more appreciation for modern day games because you'll see where they came from, see the difference. And to this day, my niece still well swears that her favorite games are all on the Super Nintendo, with one or two exceptions based on her latest trend, like Kingdom Hearts. But for the most part, all her favorite games are on the Super Nintendo. And I'd highly recommend everybody encourage their kids to do that. Give them your old fucking Nintendo and let them fucking play on that before you buy them a PlayStation. It'll give them a little bit more. It'll give them a little bit more perspective on how far the gaming industry has come. Not to mention, it will also give them a wake up fucking call to the fucking reality of they never used to release broken games and then fucking with the attitude of we'll fix it later. And like I said, the fact that people defend that attitude, no, without facing the reality of it's causing a console to break prematurely by encouraging this behavior. My fucking original PlayStation, because games were released to work on day of release, lasted for almost 20 years and only broke because I actually broke it myself by accident. You know, you're not, it's, you're not helping the survival of these games by encouraging them to be lazy. When we kicked off with them initially, because us old timers have spent our fair fucking share of fucking kicking off these companies, and many people fucking defended them in the fucking beginning. Fucking many kids that fucking didn't fucking know why we were kicking off. What's your problem, you old fart? And it's like, you know, what the problem is that we created these companies. EA is still around today because we bought their games. We were the fucking ones that made them rich. We were the kingmakers. We created them. They're only fucking around today because we invested in them. We watched them go from Electronic Arts, EA Sports, it's in the game to, well, boring and entitled. And people can say, oh, EA's games aren't boring. It's not the games that are boring, it's EA that's boring. We fucking watched them fucking announce every single one of their games with so much fucking enthusiasm that if we saw their name on the cover of a fucking game, we knew we were gonna fucking be playing a masterpiece. We watched them go from proudly announcing Chronic Arts, EA Sports in the game to, oh my god, how fucking boring can you get? Which is fucking soul gone. Fucking hell. Sold it to Satan for profit or something. What the fuck, like? One of the fucking last greatest fucking moments that EA fucking had until they fucking died for good. It's thanks to BioWare. The fucking Commander Shepard song. Don't know fucking how many of you Mass Effects know the existence of this fucking. How many of you Mass Effect fans? Came late to the fucking game series. This fucking song was released after number 2 was released originally, and this was the last fucking time that anything about EA had any degree of fucking soul to it. And it was thanks to BioWare. CD's balls from reaches no space to the pillars of the sorry grace. They're a battle of Batarians lacking in humility. Turians are bragging about their reach and flexibility. The clutter of the city strikes to the lowliest stars. But no matter what scars you bear, whatever uniform you wear, you can fight like a Krogan, run like a leopard, but you'll never be better than Commander Shepard. The battles inside the shining walls, see the stories from Earth. Fighters want to prove their worth. Sumerian science, smothered in idiom about a stimulating that scanning for iridium. So fucking true. You can fight like a Krogan and run like a leopard, but you'll never be better than Commander Shepard. This was this moment. This moment when fucking Mass Effect 2 had been fucking released, and this moment was when the Miracle of Sound released this for number 2. It was like a moment for all of us old timers. It was it was like a fucking moment, like we were back in the fucking 90's. With the enthusiasm and the obsession and the I mean, I'm not saying that people don't obsess over their favorite games today, but they don't obsess in the same fucking way. It's not the same. This was like a moment, like we just stepped back in time for us. The enthusiasm, never be better than Commander Shepard. This was a step back in time for fucking those of us that were gamers in the 90's, because it was like a reminder of just how enthusiastic our favorite game developers used to be versus what they are today, where it's just another day at the office. If we don't get this right, the fans will kick off. But it's like, I mean, I know that's true for a lot of the youngsters, but they weren't there. They weren't there. They don't fucking understand. So them, they're pissed off about the fucking bugs and they're fucking, obsess over fucking things that we didn't obsess over. And it's like, but for us, it was like, we know you. We know what you were like back then. We know what you're like fucking now. We don't like it. You know, Please go fucking back in time for a fucking moment and play the fucking original game that inspired you to begin with, because this is getting beyond a fucking joke.